standing strong. Thank you.
Ah, that sounds better. Woo, now I sound really loud. Yeah, is that good?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, world. Canada. I'm a little tongue-tied.
So you wrote this poem recently, or what's the kind of inspiration behind it?
No, the history of this poem is a little interesting. I was doing a project in the downtown east side, and I hadn't been in the downtown east side for a very long time because I just didn't want to come here anymore. And I started a dance program about 4.5 years ago through Gallery Gachet. And it was just down the street on the other side. And we were given cameras to take pictures. And it was just by Woodward's. The other building was still there. And I looked down the street and there was a native man walking down the street. And I took a picture. And after that, my poetry started coming out. And I found it very interesting because after I wrote the poem, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later I got the picture and there was no native Indian in the picture. It was really kind of spooky. And then later on I did a painting of a native Indian man. So I really like this poem. I like to dedicate it to a friend of mine named Raymond and to my mother. As I walked among the ruins of Hastings Street that day, I take my first picture around the corner of our studio, and it did not speak. It kept walking among the relics of what used to be. An Indian spirit left the scene unnoticed, except by me. Long black hair, and that unmistakable walk, even on concrete sidewalk. No grass, no leaves, no trees, just waste paper in the breeze.
That's great. Now let's talk about, do you have a home right now, or whereabouts are you living? It's good.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah?
I live in this kind of dank basement apartment.
Tell us a bit about that, because when I talked to you earlier in the fall, you were looking for a place, and I don't always quite check in where you're living, but...
Yeah, I was living in actually, I was homeless for quite some time. I was in a shelter, which was quite a harrowing experience. Not that it's any different out here, but anyway, yeah, I have shelter right now.
Yeah. Is it something you're comfortable with right now, or is it...
Not really.
No?
No. No, I found it quite difficult because of the situation in Vancouver with the Olympics. It was extremely difficult to find anything that was suitable and that didn't cost a lot. It's still costing me a lot, more than I can afford.
How much are you paying now for, do you mind me asking? No.
No.
Okay.
I'm paying way too much and I'm paying utilities. So yeah, it's a little difficult.
Is it subsidized housing or just private?
No, it's private.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how did you come across this? Do you just paper or postings or?
Newspaper. But before that, I'd been looking for almost a year, more than a year, for a place.
Had you applied to subsidized housing as well?
No, not at that point.
No.
No, not that I really want to live in subsidized housing.
Why is that?
I'm not sure.
Personal choice?
Pardon me?
Personal choice?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's your art kind of fitting in your your day-to-day life? Like, what role does it have? Is it, or just for fun, or is it a big healing mechanism for you? How would you explain it?
Normally I take my art quite seriously because of the sequence of events that happened this year. I had a lot of people passing away, a lot of important people passing away in my life, and then I was asked to move, and then I was homeless, and so it's been devastating, actually. It's been absolutely devastating to my creativity. Yeah.
I wanted to ask, have you always lived in kind of Vancouver, downtown east side, or?
I've lived all over Vancouver.
Lower Mainland?
Yeah.
And so why downtown east side? Why wouldn't you live, say, in Burnaby or Surrey or other places where there might be less expensive housing?
There is no less expensive housing in Vancouver.
I'm presuming.
The street?
Yeah.
It's less expensive.
In terms of the downtown east side, is it a community thing with you too, being like your friends down here? Is that important to you by living down here?
I think the downtown east side, whether I've lived in the area or not, I think the downtown east side has offered me a lot. It's offered a lot in programs. It's offered a lot in insight. Some of my art is based on social issues besides mountains and flowers and trees, but I'm just barely starting to get back because it's been extremely devastating for me.
When you talk about social issues, what's kind of what's at the top of your list now?
Now? Well, right now, nothing right now. But before I've done a lot of series of paintings with chains, real chains, going from drugs to the sun and the moon and the sky and birth, and then breaking the chains. So those are a series of 5 that I've done.
Right.
Trauma.
Do you treat your art as a business, as an income-generating device for you? Is it something you can rely on? Or
No, not yet.
no? Trying to get
That
there?
would be nice.
Yeah,
I can generate a lot of art.
that's great. Well, you're in a couple of art shows right now, right?
Yeah, they just seem to, yeah. All my stuff was, first of all, I had to move my studio, my 2-room studio that I had in a friend's house. I had to move that out into my place. So I was totally squashed. And then I had to move everything. And then everything was in storage. And my art just seemed to have popped out of storage. So yeah, I'm usually in about 3 or 4 shows in a month.